Queer and creepy to the core, spooky tales and ancient lore. Knock, 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 who's at the door? It's Louise and Tim with Itty Bitty Horror.
Now we're just left here just with our own silence, baby.
It's the sound of silence, restless to the walk alone.
Anyway, welcome to the Itty Bitty Horror Podcast with Luis and Tim. This podcast, we discuss everything from horror movies to the scariest tales out there.
Oh.
Con un poco de humor.
Oh.
I don't know what I'm saying right now. Tim, how you been?
I'm fine. I was wondering what you were saying.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to say with a touch of humor in Spanish, but, you know, I'm a clown. I can't come up with things on the spot because I'm stupid.
Oh, well, we knew that, but I thought you spoke Spanish.
I do speak Spanish, but I just couldn't think on the spot. I'm sorry. Okay?
Oh, okay. Well, maybe your family would be disappointed in you.
Okay, can we get back to the topic? How have you been, Timmy boy?
Oh, the topic is me. I've been good. Yeah. It's raining outside right now, but you know what? That's always actually a really good sign for an itty bitty horror recording, I think.
Oh yeah, that is the perfect ambiance.
Yeah.
Oh, and like in a week or so, a little bit over a week, we'll be hanging out together in the East Coast.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's going to be so soon. Are you excited?
I'm excited, but I know on your end you're probably like, oh, God, I gotta find a bowl to put on the ground for this motherfucker to eat, and make sure I have the kitty litter cleaned up for him. Like, make sure that he has a place to take a shit. So, you know.
Yeah, I did leave a litter box out for you. I thought you liked doggy chow.
Yeah, I mean I do, but you know,
You used to love doggy chow.
yeah, I used to eat that every day.
Showgirls reference? Anyone? Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tim, just stop being a stuck-up, will ya?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I just wrote that line. I was like, I'm gonna incorporate that randomly.
Okay, well, I'm glad you did. I think it worked out.
Oh yeah, you in what army?
You in what army, bub? That goes double for me.
Well, you're not stop being a goddamn prima donna.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you take a long leap off a short building?
Well, okay, Tim. Since you
Okay.
have nothing else to add to our little banter, let's get into today's topic. Do you know what we're discussing today?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I do.
Tell the listeners. What are we doing?
3 infamous stories from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Am I right?
I mean,
And did I say Mexico right in Espanol?
Mexico. Yeah, yeah. Well, Timmy boy,
Yes.
You're right. We are gonna head straight down into Mexico. Let's update our passports, because every story that we're gonna cover today basically asks the same question underneath it: is this thing we're scared of actually dangerous, or did we decide it was?
Ooh, a good question. And one we pose to all of you listeners as we go down this spooky corridor.
Yes, and I will answer it for you. They are dangerous. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no! Well, the answer's ruined.
Well, today we're taking that question head on with 3 real Mexican stories, all about women, and none of them played by the same rules, Timmy.
Oh, okay. They're mixing it up.
Yeah. So, okay, for today's episode, we're going to cover 3 stories, like I mentioned. One is going to be about a woman who died and came back to help people. One woman who might not even be a woman at all anymore, just a mannequin standing in a shop window for almost a century.
Oh, like Kim Cattrall.
Yes, and mannequin.
Right. Thank you for
Yeah,
making the reference really obvious.
Well, people might be like, oh, Sex in the City? I don't remember her, too, but okay. And the last one is one woman who was very much alive, very real, and very dangerous.
Also Kim Cattrall.
She was Kim Cattrall. She was like, I'm going to take this out on Sarah Jessica Parker and break that schnoz that she has.
Oh, don't be a SJP nose hater.
Anyway, if you want more information, these stories, or anything related to today's topic, we're going to be releasing more on our Substack, so make sure to follow us there for even more spooky tales out of Mexico, or Mexico, as Tim, the authentic Mexican, says. You can find the link to our Substack in the show notes or under Itty Bitty Horror Podcast on Substack. Tim, do you have your passport ready so we can go down to Mexico and get possessed by these 3 ladies?
We're getting possessed. That's the point.
We're going to get in a van, Tim, you and I, and we're going to go
A van?
down.
Already I don't like this.
Oh, okay, well, I'm going to drive all the way from the West Coast, you from the East Coast, and we're going to meet in Texas and go down I-35 and then eventually end up in my hometown of Laredo before we cross into Mexico. And we're going to take a van, okay, so we can pick up some hot guys and hopefully they can show us a little bit of their chicharrones.
Oh, yay.
Listeners are like, what? I thought we were listening about a mannequin woman. If you grew up anywhere near a Mexican household, there's a good chance that the first ghost you ever heard about wasn't a man in chains or a haunted house. It was a woman crying by a river, looking for children that weren't there anymore.
La Llorona. La Llorona.
Mis hijos. La Llorona is the one almost everybody knows. A woman who drowned her children in a fit of grief or rage, depending on which version you were told, and who's been wandering riverbanks and canals ever since, weeping and searching, sometimes mistaken for a warning to keep kids away from the water at night. Sometimes told us a story about what happens when a woman is pushed past what she can carry. Well, La Llorona is really just the loudest example of something that runs through almost all of Mexican ghost lore. When a man becomes a legend, it's usually because of what he did. A bandit, a revolutionary, a killer. When a woman becomes a legend, it's almost always because of who she loved, who she lost, and what was done to her.
Oh.
Yeah, there you know. You're learning a little something to me, boy.
I am. You're my history teacher for the day.
Go back far enough, and you start to see where the pattern comes from. Spanish colonization brought Catholic ideas about sin, purity, and womanhood, and grafted them directly onto indigenous belief systems that already had their own complicated relationships with female spirits, mountain deities, and water. The result wasn't one clean tradition. It was centuries of layered guilt, colonial control, and grief, all filtered through the stories about women who couldn't be forgiven, or couldn't rest, or couldn't be trusted. La Llorona gets blamed for her children's deaths. La Planchada is stuck forever repaying the mistakes she made out of heartbreak. Even La Pascualita, whose entire legend is built on nothing but standing still in a window, gets folded into a story about a daughter who died on the day she was supposed to become somebody's wife. Grief and guilt, again and again, dressed up as a haunting. Female ghosts in Mexican folklore are disproportionately tied to caretaking, motherhood, and domestic labor. Nurses, nannies, brides, mothers, women whose deaths, whether tragic or violent, somehow don't excuse them from the job of looking after everyone else, even from the other side. It's worth noticing, too, how differently these stories get told depending on who's doing the telling. In the mouths of men, for most of the last few centuries, these women are warnings. Don't wander too far. Don't trust a stranger's face. Don't let grief turn you into something dangerous. But in the last few decades, a lot of these same legends have started getting reclaimed by the women retelling them. Less is cautionary tales, and more is portraits of exactly how much a woman was expected to carry before anyone thought to ask if she was allowed to break. Tonight, we're picking up that thread with 3 women who never got to be the footnotes. One who kept working long after she had any reason to. One who's been standing perfectly still for almost 100 years while everyone else decides what to make of her. And one who was never a ghost at all. Just a very real woman the country still doesn't fully know what to do with. Okay, Tim.
Okay.
So, for today's first story, we're heading into a hospital in Mexico City to a nurse who never actually clocked out. This is the story of La Planchada, aka the woman who would always iron or stuff.
Oh, I kind of like the Spanish version a little bit better. In the 1930s, a nurse named Eulalia worked the floors of Hospital Juarez in Mexico City. By every account, she was excellent at her job, the kind of nurse patients specifically hoped they'd get. Her uniforms were always spotless, always perfectly ironed, sharp enough that people noticed it before they noticed anything else about her. Then, a young doctor joined the staff, and Eulalia fell for him fast. The two started seeing each other, and it wasn't long before they were engaged. Shortly after the engagement, the doctor left town for a medical seminar. He told her he'd be back the following week. He wasn't. Another week passed, then another. Eulalia sat with that silence, convinced something terrible must have happened to him. Eventually, word came back to the hospital. He hadn't been hurt. He had met someone else at the seminar and married her.
Wait, that's pretty fast.
I know, one seminar.
That's all it takes, your first seminar. Like, aren't you sent to like expos and conferences?
Yeah, I get sent to conferences. If you married someone after one, you are insane.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you are going to a conference in, I don't know, Ontario, and then your husband Bob is like, "Oh, Tim hasn't responded to my messages. What the hell?" And then Bob gets on Facebook and he sees Tim and La Llorona married.
He's like, what?
And then he'll become El Llorón.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, and he'll drown your dogs and cats.
Oh, my dogs and cats. One of them is named Luis. Eulalia fell apart. Her grief bled directly into her work. She started missing things, neglecting patients who needed her. And one night, that neglect cost a patient his life. Realizing what she'd done broke something in her completely. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping, stopped fighting for herself the same way she'd once fought for her patients. Eulalia died in the same hospital she worked in for years, the same hall she walked 1,000 times in her perfectly pressed uniform. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. Not long after her death, patients, nurses, and doctors at Hospital Juarez started reporting a nurse moving through the emergency room at night. Some said she glowed faintly, or floated instead of walked. Others said she moved completely normally, except for one detail every single witness agreed on. You never heard her footsteps. Staff started calling her La Planchada, the Ironed Lady, because no matter how many decades passed, she always appeared in a uniform that looked freshly pressed, exactly like the one Eulalia had worn in life. Here's the part of the story that actually earns her a place on the angel side of tonight's episode. According to patients and staff, on nights when the living staff were stretched too thin or simply neglected someone, La Planchada would step in. Patients would wake up the next morning well enough to be moved out of intensive care, and when asked how they were feeling, they'd say a nurse came in overnight and took care of them, a nurse nobody on the staff could account for. There are competing versions of who she actually is. In one telling, she's driven by guilt, forever making up for the one patient she failed. In another, darker version, she was so cruel to her patients when she was alive, and her haunting is a punishment, an eternity spent caring for the people she once neglected. Multiple hospitals across Mexico now lay claim to her, and the story shifts slightly depending on who's telling it, but the core of it never changes. A nurse who died carrying guilt, and who apparently decided that dying wasn't a good enough reason to stop working.
That would definitely be a good reason for me to stop working.
I know. I'd stop right there. I'd be like, well, I'm in heaven. I think I'll stop.
I mean, it's the same story that we had with the one from San Antonio at the Menger Hotel.
Oh, yes.
Not Sally Mae, but Sally White.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Who was a chambermaid, and then she got shot by her husband, and then she still was like, well, I died inside this hotel room. I guess I gotta fold towels and do the bed still. It's like, oh, God, girls have to clock out.
I know, that's Stockholm Syndrome for you. That story could have stayed exactly where it started, in 1930s Mexico City, but it didn't stay there. It reached a hospital in Guerrero, decades later, and a man who had no idea he was about to become part of the legend himself. A Reddit user named slayingimmortal shared his father's story a few weeks back, sometime in the 1970s or 80s, before he'd even met a woman who would become his wife. The father got dangerously sick. He was living out in Guerrero, far enough from the hospital that his family held off taking him in until he was already at death's door. By the time doctors saw him, his fever had been raging for days. It was a general hospital, the kind where patients were separated only by curtains instead of walls. That night, after the doctors finished what they could do and went home, he was left alone in a room with no one else around. His curtain was open all the way, and that is when things got bad. He remembers his skin feeling like it was drifting away from the heat of the fever. He called out for a nurse over and over, and nobody came. Nothing unusual for a Mexican hospital at that time, unfortunately, but for a man convinced he was dying, the silence was terrifying. Then a nurse appeared, dressed head to toe in white, with a uniform so perfectly pressed it didn't have a single fold in it anywhere. She tended to him, gave him medicine, and the next morning he woke up noticeably better, his fever finally starting to break. He wanted to thank her, asked the morning doctor who the night nurse had been. The doctor told him there had only been a handful of nurses on staff that night, and none of them matched that description. He asked a nurse directly, same answer. Nobody who worked there fit what he was describing. His own father later told him the story of La Planchada, the ironed nurse who saves people who need her most. And that was the end of it, filed away as one of those things you just accept when you grew up believing in stories like that. That's La Planchada, a woman who died carrying guilt, and who has apparently spent the better part of a century trying to make up for it, one uncredited night shift at a time. Whatever she actually is, she's the closest thing to an angel this episode has to offer. Well, well.
Okay, Tim. This reminds me of that episode in X-Files Season 2. And do you remember when Scully wakes up after being in a coma when she encountered Dwayne Barry? You calling Dwayne Barry a liar?
Oh, I am. Yes, I remember that because I remember Scully leaving that voicemail for Mulder and not actually saying who was taking her in the voicemail. She just kept saying, I need your help.
I need your help, Mulder, help. It's like, girl, well, give me more info. Like, what the hell?
Who's there? Well, who's taking you?
Yeah. Well, she had a nurse that would take care of her while she was in her coma. And I think she even saw her dad there after he had already passed. And then she woke up. She was like, oh, I want to thank the staff. And they're like, oh, ma'am, there was no boy in the lake. What about the boy?
What about the boy? The boy, Jason.
She was like, no, there's no nurse like that, ma'am. And, you know, apparently the nurse in that unit didn't exist.
Oh, my God.
I know. What are your thoughts overall? Like on this, I guess you could say almost universal experience of folks that have woken up after being extremely sick or on the verge of death and saying that, like, oh, it's always a woman, like a woman, a nurse that was taking care of them, only to find out that they didn't exist.
Well, I mean, okay, I actually think a couple of things about this story. Number one, I'm very comforted by this story. I like the idea of the night nurse who keeps working and makes sure you get better just because she feels so guilty about her life. I mean, I'm sorry she feels guilty, but hey, it's a nice downstream effect, isn't it?
So what you're saying is you like free labor.
Oh my God. It does sound like I think that, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, by ghosts.
Well, I mean, they deserve peace and eternal rest. And you're like, no, I like the fact that they're like folding towels at the Menger Hotel. And I like the fact that they're taking care of me and giving me medicine here at this hospital in Mexico. Like, girl, you are not a person of the people. How about that?
I know. Gosh, I sound terrible. Well, okay, I take it back. And my second thought about it is I actually feel like this is kind of a common like kind of myth that you hear actually in a lot of cultures, because you know, I feel like a lot of times you hear about a mysterious benefactor, you know, and then someone, you know, is saved, let's say while they're driving, or, you know, something happens and they credit it to someone that they see, right? Like
yeah.
The person who survives the event looks and says, oh, there was a person there who rescued me from that, you know, car wreck or something. And then, you know, later on people are like, there wasn't anyone there. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
you know?
no, I've seen a lot of like, I remember watching this episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and this woman who was walking down the street, maybe like downtown, I don't know, somewhere, and then this car just comes out of nowhere, and she's like getting out of her car, right? She's like locking it or about to get in, who knows, and then she just hears like the screeching, and then she turns, and a car is just like turning into where she is, like fast pace, and they're driving, they lost control of the car, and before they hit her, Robert Pattinson in Twilight jumps in. It's like, don't worry, girl, I got you.
Robert Pattinson, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? He's like, I don't like people to identify me. No, I'm kidding. But you'll have like, they say like, oh, I saw an angel and they were protecting me. And of course, they still get hit by the car, but they still somehow survive.
Yes.
Right? And there's no explanation. There's like no scratches, or maybe if there are scratches, like they did get injured, it's not at the level that you would expect because a car just like plowed into them. And it's like, oh, ma'am, yeah, you broke your leg, but other than that, you're perfectly fine. And then they cut to her and she's like, half of her face is missing. Her jaw's broken. And she's like, are you sure I'm fine?
He's like, ooh, yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, I thought you'd be worse. I thought you'd be hamburger meat, so this is better than nothing.
Fuck.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's a great point.
Okay, Tim, this story, I've heard of the story for the longest time. It's been around for like almost a century now.
Oh, really? Okay. This is one you've actually heard before.
Yeah, this one I've definitely heard of before. And I think that after I finish telling this story, you're never going to look at a mannequin the same way.
But I already am scared of them.
That is true. We did talk about that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
listeners, for our second story, we're heading into a bridal shop in Chihuahua to a mannequin nobody can quite decide is just a mannequin. This is a story of La Pascualita. In 1930, a bridal shop called La Popular opened its doors in Chihuahua, Mexico. On March 25th of that year, a new mannequin appeared in the front window, dressed in the shop's finest wedding gown. And almost immediately, people noticed something was off about her. Most mannequins in shop windows are blank on purpose, so the clothes are the whole point. This one wasn't blank at all. Her face was expressive. In a creepy, fucked up way, Tim.
Oh, Edgar Allan Poe up in here.
Her eyelashes looked real. Her eyes were glassy in a way that caught the light like an actual human eye would. Her hands had visible detail down to individual creases, and if you look closely enough at her legs, you could actually make out what looked like veins, the kind that you would expect on someone who spent a lifetime standing on her feet, not on a department store mannequin. The legend that grew up around her didn't take long to form. Locals began to say this wasn't a mannequin at all, but the embalmed body of the shop owner's daughter. No one ever recorded her actual name. She's known only as Pascuala Esparza's daughter, or simply as La Pascualita. She was supposedly preparing for her own wedding when she was bitten by a black widow spider and died from the poison on what would have been her wedding day.
It's the spider woman.
Do you think it's funny making fun of La Pascualita and dying from a kiss from a spider woman?
Well, only when you sing that song.
And the moon goes at the tide's low ebb.
It's the spider.
On what should have been her wedding day, Timmy. Not long after her death, this impossibly lifelike mannequin appeared in her mother's shop window, wearing a wedding dress of her own. Once the story took hold, everything about her became evidence. Staff members over the decades have said her eyes seemed to follow customers as they moved through the store. Some have claimed to hear the rustle of fabric late in the day when nobody was near her, and turn around to find she's shifted positions entirely. One former staff member put it bluntly, saying that every time she got close to the mannequin, her hands would break out in a sweat. She genuinely believed it was a real person standing there. She's even reportedly caused problems for people who never set foot inside the shop. One local legend describes a couple arguing on the sidewalk directly across from the window, an argument that escalated until the girlfriend broke things off right there on the street. The story that got attached to it afterwards was that La Pascualita had been watching the whole thing from her window, and that somehow her presence was part of what turned the fight fatal to the relationship. It's a small, strange detail, more superstition than ghost story, but it says something about how far her reputation had spread. People weren't just afraid of what she might do inside the shop. They started blaming her for the things that happened across the street. But here's where the story gets stranger than the version most people know. At some point, according to the handful of accounts, La Pascualita wasn't the only one standing in that window. Tim decided to join her.
Me?
Yes, you are El Pascualito.
Is this the turn in the story? I'm a part of the legend?
Yes, you are the Pascualito.
Oh,
something.
La Pascualito and La Pascualita.
El Pascualito. Anyway, witnesses started describing a second mannequin appearing beside her, a figure locals called La Hermana, the sister. Nobody could agree on when she first showed up, and there's no photograph of her that's ever surfaced anywhere. But according to people who claim to remember her, the two figures wouldn't just individually shift positions overnight, they'd shift position relative to each other. On one particular occasion, La Hermana was reportedly seen with her hand resting on La Pascualita's shoulder, a pose no employee remembers setting up the night before. Not long after that account started circulating, La Hermana disappeared from the window completely. The shop has never acknowledged she existed at all. No photographs, no records, nothing to confirm she was ever really there. Just multiple people, independently, who swear they remember two brides standing in the window instead of one. There's a second, gentler version of this story that runs in a completely different direction. In that telling, she's just a mannequin, but a haunted one. A traveling French magician supposedly became entranced by her in the shop window and would visit her every night, bringing her to life and taking her out dancing through the town before returning her to the display case each morning before the shop opened. And their reporters have gone directly to the shop's owners over the years and asked them point blank whether the legend is true. The answer has always been the same kind of non-answer. Is it true? I really couldn't say. Which, if you think about it for even a second, is probably the best possible thing a shop owner could say about a mannequin bringing that much foot traffic into a bridal store in the middle of Chihuahua.
I liked how realistic that I really couldn't say was.
I mean, like, she's gonna sell the story, right? Because she wants people to come in and be like, oh, well, I'm not getting married anytime soon, but
yeah,
I feel like if I buy something in here because I just came to see La Pascualita, she's gonna fucking, break my booty in half. So take these lace socks, please, and then you can make money.
Lace socks?
Lace socks, yes, and jelly socks.
Jelly shoes they sell now.
Decades later, she's still enough of a draw that people travel from other countries just to stand in front of the window and decide for themselves. Here's what makes La Pascualita different from La Planchada, and honestly different from almost every other ghost story we've ever covered. Most of the time, she doesn't do anything. She doesn't help anyone, and as far as the legend goes, she doesn't hurt anyone either. She just stands in the window, watching people walk by, decade after decade, and lets everyone else decide what she means. And every once in a while, apparently, she's not standing there alone. Some people find that comforting, a strange kind of company in an otherwise empty shop after hours. Other people find it unsettling, the idea of something watching you that never blinks and never moves unless nobody's looking. She's not an angel. She's not a monster. She's a mannequin.
It's so true.
I don't know. I'm saying, look, okay, do you see pictures of her here?
Oh, it's scary.
Yeah, like this. So for our listeners, we'll be posting this in our Substack, but you see right here, this is the mother who apparently lost her daughter, and apparently she was embalmed. And look at this. You don't see this in mannequin hands, do you?
Oh my god, no, that's a realistic looking mannequin hand. I don't like that.
Yeah, like eyelashes, the eyes are glossy. God, get away from me. You'll see right here, La Popular, like this, La Casa de Pascualita. Look at this. You don't think she's creepy looking?
I think she's really creepy looking. I hate it. You know what it really reminds me of? Hey, this is a tradition on our show. It reminds me of that Twilight Zone episode. Do you remember?
Well, I don't watch Twilight Zone, but please tell me.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, well, for some reason I thought you had. Well, there's a famous Twilight Zone episode where a bunch of mannequins are in a store. And, I think back in the day also, like way back in, whatever, the mid-20th century, yeah. I think mannequins in stores were actually more common. They more commonly had faces painted on them. You know what I mean? Like fake hair, fake eyes kind of thing. And of course, nowadays when you go into a store, they're either headless or the head is just like a little circle. It doesn't have anything on it, right?
Yeah, there's no face. It's all blank, yeah.
Right. And I think that's actually because, well, A, of stories like this, but also B, because of like shows like The Twilight Zone, because they had an episode where this lady's wandering around a mall and she ends up on this floor of the mall that has no one. And then all the mannequins start turning toward her and saying, Marsha. And this is pre-Marsha Brady, for the record.
And then she's like, they're all calling me. And the store manager just comes up to her and slaps her across the face. Like, Marsha, we've been looking for you. We've been calling you. You won the lottery. Here you go. And he unzips his pants. And
oh, no.
And he pulls out a magic 8-ball.
Oh.
And then smashes it on her face and turns her into a mannequin. But I haven't heard of that episode, but I think it would be creepy. Like, just being in a room with a bunch of mannequins, no faces, just standing there. But this Pascualita one is creepy because if you're standing in front of La Pascualita in Chihuahua, Mexico,
yes,
Mexico, you're standing there and she's like looking away from you, but then you start to move and she's like following you. Like, I'd be creeped out.
I'd be terrified. Also, mannequins are very creepy. Like, full stop. Mannequins are creepy things, even without La Pascualita, but especially if you're in Chihuahua, Mexico. I feel like,
Yeah, don't go to La Popular.
yeah, don't go to La Popular. It's very unpopular.
Yeah, well, it's very popular actually, but
Oh,
um,
okay.
in the past we've talked about how mannequins are creepy, right? So
Yes,
there's
like just now, for example.
I meant in the past previous episodes, sugar.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's movies about them, right? We have horror movies like Tourist Trap. I don't know if you ever saw that. I love that movie. It's not
I never
great,
saw.
but it's, it's good. You have House of Wax, the one with Paris Hilton, and of course the original ones with I think Vincent Price or no, Christopher Lee. I don't remember. Either way, old
Was Paris Hilton playing the Vincent Price part?
I don't think it was even Vincent Price. It may have been actually there may be multiple versions. Either way, Christopher Lee is one of them, I think.
Oh, I love him.
And she did a much better performance than them too. Just kidding.
No, I don't think so.
Well, let's say you walked into a store, right?
Okay, I do that sometimes.
Yeah. And you ask, excuse me, how much for this Gucci jacket? And they say, you can't afford it, bitch. And then, of course, you're like heartbroken. You're like, okay, I guess I'll leave. And then you're leaving. But the next day you come back with money because, you got a pimp Richard Gere. Your pimp Richard Gere gave you money.
Right. Yes.
And then you come in wearing like the fanciest clothes and the ladies look at you like, oh, who's that queen over there? And then you go, hey, you remember how you wouldn't help me yesterday? And they say, no. And you go, big mistake, huge. And as you're walking out, the mannequin, aka La Pascualita, turns around, stretches her arm, and grabs your throat and says,
Oh,
don't disrespect our minimum wage workers, estúpida.
no, shit.
What do you
I'd
do?
say, I go, because I'd be, strangling. And then I'd be like, I thought they worked on commission.
And then she goes, yeah, you in what army?
Me and what army? She prepped a comeback for the wrong line.
I know. No, but seriously, okay, no. She doesn't care that they work on commission. She's just like
Okay.
they're strangling you, the mannequin woman, La Pascualita.
Okay, but I thought her whole point was that I shouldn't disrespect minimum wage workers. But none of those women are minimum wage,
Well,
I
that's
say.
what you think. What if commission is, I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, commission is minimum wage to them, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, but okay. Then I guess I'd say, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just an elitist bitch, even though I just got these clothes.
And then she snaps her neck at you, dying. Do you think that'd be funny?
That'd be so funny.
I think you're acting a little weird because the fumes from this campfire are really starting to hit you.
Oh, yeah, it's crackling. I can't even deal. I can't even deal with all of it.
Well, Tim, now, listeners, keep sitting here. Don't move. Sit right there, listeners, on the log.
Stay.
On the log that we have for you. We're going to pass around some marshmallows, some sticks with marshmallows. And,
Some weenies.
Yeah, and some weenies, because Tim is going to tell you the actual scariest story from today. Well, it's not scary.
Oh.
Well, why am I already dogging the story? It's actually a really good story, and I originally wanted to do an episode just on this specific topic that Tim is about to read, but I figured, well, not really. Too lazy. So, Timmy boy,
Yes.
our third and final story tonight. Listeners, get closer. Jeez.
Just scoot in.
Yeah, scoot in. There's no ghosts or mannequins or ambiguity. This is the
Yeah.
true story about a luchadora who became one of the most prolific serial killers in Mexican history. This is the story of Juana Barraza, la Mataviejitas.
Oh my god.
Okay, Tim, before you get started on this,
Yeah.
to our
First,
listeners...
let's pronounce it.
Yes,
Let's pronounce it.
that's what I was about to say. In front of our listeners who are sitting here in the log, you want to make sure that you don't stumble on your words, but La Mataviejitas is basically the killer of old ladies, right? So pronounce it before you start the story.
Okay. Juana Barraza.
Juana Barraza.
I'm trying to learn. I'm asking you a question.
No, you're right. Juana Barraza.
Is it? It's not Barraza. It's not Italian, is it?
Barraza, mamma mia. No, it's Juana Barraza.
Juana Barraza. Barraza.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then it's La Mataviejitas.
Yes.
Wait,
That's
why are
perfect.
you
No.
laughing?
It's perfect. It's just funny hearing you say Mataviejitas. Because it's just kills old ladies. It's just a translation of it. It's pretty funny.
And I'm all cheerful, like Mataviejitas.
Exactly. I don't think that's the way. Anyway, go ahead, Tim. Read the story in your British accent if you must.
Oh, I shan't read it in there.
Before we continue, we want to flag that this next story contains detailed accounts of child abuse, sexual assault, and murder. Please take care of yourselves and skip ahead if you need to.
Juana Barraza was born in 1957 in Hidalgo, Mexico, into a childhood that gave her almost nothing to hold on to. Her father was a police officer who wasn't really present in her life. Her mother, Justa, was an alcoholic, and by most accounts, cruel in ways that went far beyond neglect. When Juana was just 12 years old, her mother took her out drinking with friends, and in that drunken state traded her away to a man named Jose Lugo, reportedly for the price of 3 beers. Lugo abused her for years afterwards, raping her repeatedly, and she became pregnant twice before she was even 16, both pregnancies ending in miscarriage. When her uncles finally found her and got her out, 5 years had passed. And when the rest of the family learned what had happened, they found out something even worse. Her own mother had spent those years telling everyone that Juana had simply run off with the man on her own. Juana would later say, in an interview given after her arrest, that this was the root of everything that came after. Crying on camera, she told investigators plainly, "That's why I hated older women." She never learned to read past her own name. By 15, she was already married, not out of love, but as a way out of a home that had never given her anything worth staying for. That marriage turned abusive too, and she was left a single mother with a young son and almost no options in front of her. One afternoon, while hanging laundry, she heard something drifting through the air, the roar of a crowd, and the sound of bodies hitting a mat. She followed the noise to a local wrestling arena and stepped into a world of masked luchadores, flying through the air, dramatic and powerful in a way nothing else in her life had ever been. She was hooked instantly. Juana trained relentlessly, working odd jobs by day, including stretches as a nurse's aide to support her children, and grinding through cramped gyms by night. Eventually, she stepped into the ring herself, under a mask that hid her identity completely, and took on the name La Dama del Silencio, the Lady of Silence. In the ring, for the first time in her life, she had power, respect, and control over her own body in a way she'd never been allowed before. But the control she found in the ring didn't stay contained to the ring. The resentment she carried toward her mother, and toward the years that were taken from her as a child, never actually left. It just went quiet for a while. And eventually, it started attaching itself to women who reminded her of exactly the person she blamed the most. Her method became disturbingly consistent. She'd target elderly women who lived alone, often getting a genuine nurse's uniform to help sell the act, and approach them, posing as a government social worker sent to check on their health. Once she gained their trust and got inside, she'd overpower them with strength that came directly from years of wrestling training, strangling them quickly and quietly before taking a small item, a religious trinket, something personal, and disappearing into the night. The first murder officially linked to her happened in 1998. An 82-year-old woman found strangled in her own bed, no forced entry, nothing of real value stolen, nothing that gave police anything to work with. Over the following years, more elderly women were found in exactly the same way, always alone, always strangled, always with no clear point of entry. The press eventually named the killer La Mata Viejitas, the little old lady killer, and panic spread through Mexico City's elderly population. Senior centers saw attendance drop as older women became too afraid to leave their homes at all. For years, police chased a ghost, and in the process, actively pursued the wrong lead. Investigators became convinced the killer had to be a man, in some cases, a man dressed as a woman, and spent months detaining and questioning transgender sex workers across the city, none of whom matched the evidence. It wasn't until witnesses kept independently describing a large, muscular woman leaving the scene that the profile even started to shift. The break finally came on January 25th, 2006. a neighbor witnessed a struggle in the apartment of an 84-year-old woman named Ana Maria Alfaro and called the police after seeing a woman fleeing the scene. Officers arrived to find Alfaro strangled with a stethoscope. This time, they had a real description to work with, and they caught up with the suspect just blocks away. The woman they arrested had a shaved head and a worn jacket. She identified herself as Juana Barraza. When police raided her apartment the next day, they found a stolen ID identifying her as a social worker. They also found a stethoscope and a handwritten list of names and addresses belonging to elderly women across the city. Her trial in 2008 became a national media event, covered live and called the trial of the century by some outlets. Fingerprint evidence tied her to multiple crime scenes. Witnesses described watching her approach victims looking friendly and helping before anything went wrong. Barraza admitted to one murder, that of Alfaro, and when asked why, she gave the same answer she'd given from the start: lingering resentment toward her own mother, projected for years onto women who were never her mother at all, just old enough to remind her of everything that had been done to her. On March 31st, 2008, she was convicted on 16 counts of murder and aggravated burglary and sentenced to 759 years, a number that only exists on paper since Mexican law caps actual served time at 60 years. Investigators believed her real number of victims could be as high as 48, though only 16 were ever formally proven in court. What happened to her after sentencing is almost its own strange footnote. In prison, she became a gym instructor for other inmates. She sold tacos to staff and fellow prisoners to help support her family, and even got married and later divorced while incarcerated. She remains behind bars at Santa Marta Acatitla prison to this day, maintaining her innocence on most of the charges against her. This is the monster side of tonight's episode, and it's an uncomfortable one because Juana Barraza wasn't born a monster. She was a 12-year-old girl who was sold by her own mother for the price of a few beers, and who spent the rest of her life unable to separate the women she killed from the woman who did that to her. That doesn't excuse a single thing she did, but it's worth sitting with the fact that the line between someone who suffers and someone who makes others suffer isn't always as clean as we would like it to be. That's a good point.
So this story overall, I thought it was a very interesting story. There was way more that I read about like her past and whatnot, but we're obviously trying to condense this into like an hour episode. But
yeah.
What are your thoughts like on somebody like, okay, it's very like gray in the sense of like, the 48 ladies who died did not deserve to die just because they reminded her of her mother, obviously.
Right, of course.
But at the same time, it's kind of like those things where it's like, the way you grow up and the trauma that you have, you kind of think of like, did you ever see the movie Monster with Charlize Theron? And
oh yeah. Didn't she win an Oscar for that?
Yeah, she did. But right, like, you know, like her entire history of Eileen Wuornos, the first, you know, woman who was electrocuted, I think, in the country. Like,
no, first woman who was death by electrocution. I don't think she was the first woman electrocuted.
No, the first woman who was like, the government sentenced her to death and she died.
Right. By the electric chair. Yeah.
But if you hear her story and you know her story, then you know that she obviously went through a lot of trauma and a lot of unprocessed trauma that is, you don't even know how to like handle that. And you take it out on people who may not be responsible. And some people are, like, some people are just awful. Like, her story is different because obviously she was, you know, a sex worker and she was being assaulted by men. So she defended herself, but then she started killing other men who were just like, hey, you're a sex worker, I want your services. And they were just looking for that. And then she just ends up killing them. So obviously she went a little too far in that sense. But here, it's like this woman, she obviously had a really, really bad traumatic childhood. And then she grows up and she's like, I just hate old ladies. And she starts randomly killing them. I mean, like, imagine if you and I were in Mexico at that time, right?
Okay.
For some reason, you and I decided to go to like a little Halloween store and we decided to like buy old lady wigs.
Oh my God. And you know, we would do that because you have an old lady wig.
Yeah, no, I do. And we're just walking down the street and then suddenly we hear a crack in our skulls.
Oh my God.
And then you and I fall down to the ground and then we wake up. We wake up and we're being strangled by a stethoscope. Not by a woman, but by a stethoscope. Her whole body is wrapped around us. She's like, I'm identifying. I couldn't say the word anymore. So yeah, what would you do?
I'd be like, oh my God, a giant stethoscope is surrounding us like a python. What are we going to do?
Yeah, I'm here to listen to your heart. Okay, so Tim, obviously the police spent years chasing the wrong suspect because they assumed that this killer was going to be a man, right? If they're doing something so violent, it has to be a man. It can't be a woman. It just can't.
Right.
No,
That's what they think.
So what do you think that says about how we build, I guess not us, but like, what do you think that says about how these cops build a profile, what they think a monster is, right? Or what it's supposed to look like. And then in reality, it's the complete opposite.
Well, I mean, you kind of just said it there. I think we build this up this idea. And I mean, they're basing it on stats. Mostly murderers are mostly men. I mean, let's be honest. But yeah, like you said, like with the Charlize Theron monster example, it could be anyone. And in this case, it was a lady that had a really, sad, unfortunate backstory. And
she was a wrestler, like a powerlifting, wrestler with big muscles.
I know. So, yeah, I mean, it says exactly what you think it says, which is that, that's what we sometimes think.
Oh, what a nice answer, Tim. Okay, so this is her right here. I'm trying to find, this is her. You see her? Like, this is when she was a wrestler.
I see.
Yeah, would you wear that outfit? I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. I worry that we're going too far into, like, recent past.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Look at her. She looks like she does kill old ladies.
Yeah, she does. Well, especially making that face that she's making in that photo.
Yeah, well, I hope they make this into a movie, or maybe they have already, and I hope they cast you as La Mata Viejitas.
Me? Why would they cast me?
Because they want to whitewash the role, and they want to turn it into a man, so it'll be you.
Oh, so typical. It's just like with La Llorona when they cast, what's her name?
When they cast, what's her?
Velma.
Velma, the lady from Friday the 13th, the TV series. Yeah.
Linda Cardellini, right?
There you go. Yeah. That's what we want for La Mata Viejitas.
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
Well, okay, Tim, we've come to the end of the episode. What are your overall thoughts on today's show? Which one of these women sits with you the most? The nurse who never stopped working? The mannequin nobody can explain? Or the wrestler who turned out to be exactly the thing everyone should be afraid of?
I think the mannequin nobody can explain, actually, because to me, that's such a scary image, the idea of a mannequin coming to life, that I just can't even deal with it. And Kim Cattrall, I'm sorry, you didn't make mannequins any less scary for the world. You didn't.
Well, the mannequin here never comes to life. So were you even paying attention to the story?
No, I know, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, that story was a little more creepy.
Really, I find the story of Juana Barraza, like the La Mata Viejitas, the creepiest one, because it's like, obviously she's going through her own, awful stuff and trauma and whatnot, but like, it's still like the people who were targeted were the most vulnerable, like older
Yeah, you're right.
women.
In a weird way, it's kind of bizarre that she targeted them and not men, because I mean, the lady sold her to a bunch of men.
Yeah, exactly. Why didn't you just go back and find that Jose Lugo or whatever and just like shank his face off? And then if your mother had already, moved on to the other world, then go desecrate her grave. Don't, take it out on, little Consuela and little Maria.
Oh,
Just like having little coffee and tamales, and here you are. It was like, nah, I'm going to snap both of their necks. Snap.
Oh, God. Snap.
That's basically what she did.
No, you're right. It's just funny how you said snap. But yes, the actual story is very serious and sad. No, I know. They're all good stories, though. I mean, or they're all interesting stories. I think that we all learned something today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that all three stories have their own reason why they're still, like, considered, I guess, infamous in their own way, right? One is a ghost story. One is an eerie story about, you don't know what the hell it is. It's just a mannequin, but you're thinking, does it come alive at night? Does it start dancing at night and start, riding in convertibles with Kim Cattrall, her hermana? Or the final story, which is like a real, actual serial killer,
Right.
who has a very sad but kind of interesting background in terms of the wrestling part, the interesting part, not the other stuff, but yeah.
Right.
Listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, then feel free to leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you'd like for us to cover a specific story or topic, then email us at ittybittyhorror@gmail.com or at timsmith dance the Macarena at yahoo.org.
Ah, yes.
You can also follow us on all social media under Itty Bitty Horror. And also, if you are a mannequin and not a monster, and you would like to learn more about today's topics, including deeper cuts on La Planchada, La-Pascualita, or Juana Barraza, then check us out on our Substack under Itty Bitty Horror Podcast, where you'll find pictures and more anecdotes about today's stories.
Ooh, it'll be scary, I bet.
Yeah. Listeners, before we close out the episode, Tim and I have already started planning for our October, Spooktober episodes.
Ooh, spooktacular.
Spooktacular. We're going to be talking about satanic panic, when people freaked out about what was going on in America and they thought that it was all, Satanism and whatnot. We're going to be talking about what movie we're discussing?
The very movie that we all love, which is... What is it?
House on Haunted Hill. You're the one who recommended that one.
Of course.
Why are you choking?
I'm choking on my words, Mama.
Your words, baby.
I know. We will be talking about The House on Haunted Hill, and perhaps we will also be discussing the movie based on The House on Haunted Hill, The Haunting.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
And we're also doing a sequel to one of the more popular episodes of all time, and Tim's first episode, Exploitation.
Oh, what good times those were.
Yeah, and the last thing we're also going to cover, we're going to rank our favorite Halloween candy. How about that? You want to stick for that one?
I bet they do.
How about you give us 5 stars for us talking about Halloween candy? How about that?
Will it be Twizzlers? Will it be snow caps?
Maybe we can even but we can do a video of this where we're moving candy up and down the A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever tiers.
Oh, yeah,
I mean?
that would be fun. Yeah.
I think so. Well, listeners, get ready for those episodes. Thanks once again.
Well, remember,
even the smallest chills
can linger
long after
the stories end. I'm still laughing at when you're like, she's not this, she's not that. She's a mannequin.
Well,
do you remember?
Okay, Tim. So
wait. What did you say earlier? You were like, she's not a this, she's not a that. She's a mannequin.
You still on that, sugar pie?
No, what was it you said?
I said that she's not an angel. She's not a monster. She's a mannequin.